Hi, you guys. It looks like we are getting some attendees. We're going to wait for just probably a minute or two to make sure that everybody who signed up is on this session with us. But we're so glad that you are here virtually with me and my coworker, Tess. We'll introduce ourselves in a little bit, but if you look in our backgrounds, we are not on campus. We are actually in our homes right now. We are working from home. So welcome to my kitchen nook. Tess, where are you right now?
I am in my dining room and decided to decorate a little bit behind me so that you didn't just have to stare at my blank wall.
I appreciate that. I know I tried to shut my blinds a little bit so you guys aren't getting blinded by the glare. It actually looks like we have a decent number of people joined Tess. So
Yeah.
we are going to go ahead and jump in. So you guys, we just first of all want to welcome you to our first virtual visit event, our admitted student webinar. We're really glad that you've joined us today. And of course, we wish that you could be with us here in Spokane, or at least on our campus, and meeting you in person. But as we all know, that is not something we can do right now, but regardless, we're thankful to be able to connect with you via Zoom. And hopefully we'll get a lot of your questions answered today about your next steps as an admitted student. Like I said, my name is Quincy. I serve as the campus visit coordinator for Whitworth. And with me today is Tess Abbott. She'll introduce herself in a little while. But before we dive into this presentation, I wanted to give you a quick update about what Whitworth is doing specifically in response to COVID-19. Maybe you have been keeping up with us, so some of this information might not be new to you, but just wanted to put it out there so you guys know what we are doing. This past Monday, March 30th, Whitworth officially began our online instruction, which will take place until the end of the semester, which is on May 15th. Now, as of now, we are planning to begin our fall semester as scheduled, with move-in for new students taking place on September 5th and classes beginning on September 9th. If necessary, we will temporarily adjust those operations to maintain the health and well-being of our entire Whitworth community, but we will return to normal operations as soon as it's safe to do so. Just like you, we are also playing this by ear and making sure that safety is the #1 priority. So whether it's online or in person, we are still committed to providing our students with a highly relational, student-centered educational experience. All of our classes are taking place online, like I mentioned, and a lot of them are happening via Zoom. And if you follow any of the Whitworth social media accounts, you'll see that our president, Beck Taylor, popped in on a couple of classes via Zoom to say hi. So thank you for your patience as we are exploring this new virtual visit option together. We're really glad that you're here. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Tess, and she's going to explain our process for today.
Awesome. Great. Thank you, Quincy. As Quincy said, my name is Tess Abbott, and I'm an admissions counselor. I work with our students from Northern California, Oregon, and Alaska, and our students from the Midwest. So before all of this was happening, I was traveling and meeting students, and it's been so fun to get to meet a lot of students on the road and on campus. So I'm happy to get to connect with you over the internet right now and share a little bit about why Whitworth is so special and why we really hope that you'll join us in the fall. So I'm going to get started here by showing you a few things that you have the ability to do as we are talking on this webinar. So we want this to be as interactive as it possibly can, given the circumstances. So I'm going to walk you through a few of the controls that you should have access to on your screen. If you're using the app or on a computer, all of these things should be available to you. So the first one is chat, and chat is a way that you can communicate with us while we're going through the presentation. If you had technical difficulties or something like that and you wanted to let us know, you can do that through chat. You'll only be able to send messages to us, to Quincy and myself. So if there's anything that you want to ask us or technical difficulties that you might have, you can do that through chat. So to practice using chat, if you have it on your computer, could you please send us your first and last name through chat? This is also a good way for us to just see that you're here and there are people in attendance. Awesome, I'm already seeing some come in. That's great to see. So thank you for doing that. And if there is anything throughout this presentation that you're having difficulty with, go ahead and send it through chat. Quincy will be checking on those too while we go through. Another one that you have access to is to raise your hand. Obviously, I can't see all of you on your screens right now, but I might ask you some questions that are just sort of yes or no questions, and would love to hear you see you just raise your hand when we do that. So let's practice that right now. And my question for you would be, raise your hand if you have never been on a Zoom webinar before. So raise your hand if this is your very first Zoom webinar. Awesome. Okay, the numbers are going way up. That's great to see. So it looks like quite a few of you have never been on a Zoom webinar before, so you'll get to learn as we go. And this first one can be good practice for you before hopefully you come and interact with us on some other presentations as well. Okay, and then the last one that we are able to use is our Q&A. So if you have any questions that you want to ask me or Quincy as we go throughout the presentation, you can do that in the Q&A box. Your questions should only be coming to me and Quincy, and then once we answer them, everyone will be able to see the answered questions. So there are no silly questions. You can ask us anything about Whitworth that we can be helpful with, and we might be answering them live here while we're talking, or through the kind of messaging system. So throughout this time, feel free to ask some questions. Okay, if you have any questions right now, go ahead and send them through Q&A. Otherwise, we're going to get going talking about Whitworth. Okay, well, first and foremost, I just want to say congratulations to all of you. This is an admitted student presentation, which means you have been admitted, and that is awesome. We are so glad that you have been admitted to Whitworth and that you're considering or have decided to come to Whitworth in the fall. I know that the application process is not easy, especially when you're looking at a lot of different schools and applying in a lot of different ways. So thank you for including Whitworth on your list, and we're so glad that you have applied to Whitworth. We just want you to know that we would love for you to be a pirate in the fall. This is a really exciting time to come to campus in the fall, get to know our faculty one-on-one in our small class sizes, get to know your fellow students and peers, not just through the internet, but actually on campus, and we really want that for you in the fall. So we hope that you'll join us as a pirate, and we're already so glad that you have thought about Whitworth. Another feature that we have here on Zoom is for me to be able to ask you some questions, specifically take some polls of who it is that we have here with us on the webinar. So I'm gonna do one of those right now because I'm curious who here has already deposited to Whitworth and is planning on coming in the fall, who has deposited but is maybe still deciding, they just want to secure their spot, and who is admitted and still thinking about depositing. So you should see a question on your screen right now, and you should be able to answer that with what you're planning on doing or where you're at in the process right now. Awesome, see lots of things coming in. Have about half of you who've answered at this point, so that's great. If you haven't answered, go ahead and throw your answer up. I'll give you a couple more seconds, and then I'll show you what your peers have said here. Okay. So this is what we're looking at. It looks like almost half of you have already deposited and are committed to Whitworth. Hooray, that's so great to see. And it looks like about half of you have been admitted and are still deciding. So that's awesome. That's what we like to see. I do have another question for you. And that is, I know we probably have some freshmen and some transfers on this webinar today. So I want to see who you are and just tell us so that we can tailor this webinar a little bit better to who all is out there. Okay, see some results coming in. Give you a couple seconds. This should be an easy question. Okay. Awesome. Well, I'll end it here and show you it looks like most people on this webinar are freshmen today, but we do have a transfer, and that's awesome. We'll be talking through all the details for all of you here. Okay. So first things first, probably the biggest question is that you have been admitted to Whitworth. Now what? Now what do you do? Obviously, about half of you have already deposited, which is wonderful to see, but you likely have some more questions, and some of you, half of you, are also still in the process of making a decision. So we want to talk through what the timeline looks like for you, what the next steps are, and what are the things that you can get excited about this spring and this summer before we start classes in the fall. So I have some more questions for you here just to get to know a little bit about how you felt about the application process so far. As I said in the beginning, I know that there's a lot that can go on in this process, so we want to know how you feel about it. Do you feel great? You knew what to expect, and this whole process has been easy breezy for you? Or you do know what's going on, but you still have a couple questions that you're curious about, you're a little confused maybe, or you don't know what your next step is and you really need some help. So if you have a response there, let us know. Okay, looks like no one's voting, so hopefully you can see this question. Okay, maybe not, we can skip this one. Yeah, looks like we couldn't see this question, so that's totally fine. I still want to hear about how it is. So if you are in the chat and you want to share in the chat how you're feeling about this whole process, please do. We would love to just hear some feedback about how you're doing so I can know and answer any of your questions. Okay, someone said pretty easy. That's what we like to hear. Okay, well, for those students, about half of those students who've been admitted but haven't deposited, haven't decided on Whitworth just yet, here are some next steps that I'd love to talk through with you. All of these things hopefully look kind of familiar to you, but we want to just talk through a little bit of the details so that everyone's on the same page. So first things first, it's really important that you file the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA or the WASFA. You've probably heard a lot about this from your counselors at your high school, hopefully you have, or your college, and you've probably seen some emails from us encouraging you to do that as well. That's because this is a great resource for you to get need-based financial aid from Whitworth and from the government. So we really, really encourage you to fill these things out, fill this form out so that we can see how we could potentially support your family financially. Some families might be unsure about whether or not they want to file the FAFSA because they might not know if they're going to qualify, or they feel pretty confident that they won't qualify. We get that. I personally would encourage your family to fill out the FAFSA just for this first year so that you can see what, if anything, you might qualify for. Also, if you want to have any resources like federal student loans or participate in the federal work-study program, you have to fill out the FAFSA to qualify for those. So either of those things, if you are interested in them, make sure that you fill out the FAFSA at least for this first year so that you can know just exactly what you might qualify for. Next, either you filled out the FAFSA or you didn't, but we probably have already sent you your financial aid offer. And I'd love to see some hands of who has already received their financial aid offer letter in the mail. So if you've received it, awesome. Looks like lots of you have. If you've received that, please go ahead and show me your hands. When you get the offer letter in the mail, you probably saw it came in a nice red folder, had lots of information with it, but you also can see your financial aid offer online through our self-service portal. So either one of those you should be able to do and see your financial aid offer and what it is that's available to you. You also probably got an email after we sent you your offer letter that said, hey, I'm available to talk about your offer letter over the phone. We would love to talk with you and your family over the phone about what that offer letter means. Can you raise your hand if you did a financial aid phone call with your admissions counselor, or if you have one planned already? Awesome, I'm seeing lots and lots of hands. That's what we like to see. We are here to help you. We are a resource for you. We do not expect you to know every single thing that is going on with financial aid. And so we want to talk about it over the phone with you and your family. So if you have not already taken advantage of this resource to talk about your financial aid offer with your admissions counselor, please do. We should have sent you an email. You can also tell us in the chat that you want to and you're not sure where the email is. Whatever it is, we want to be a part of that with you. So make sure that you're taking advantage of that resource. And then finally, we want you to submit your enrollment deposit. When you feel like you have a good understanding of Whitworth, when you're excited to be a pirate and you just want to make it official and secure your spot, we want you to submit that enrollment deposit. The enrollment deposit is $350 and $100 of it is a credit to your tuition, $100 is a credit to your room and meals, and then $150 is kind of fees to get you set up as a pirate, to get your Whitworth email and all those fun things. So when you're ready, submit that deposit. You probably saw that we are extending our deposit deadline to June 1st. With everything that's going on, we don't want this to be a stressful time for you. So if you need a little bit more time to make your decision, that's totally fine. You have until June 1st to put that deposit down. And it's also refundable until June 1st. So if you want to secure your spot right now and make sure you get a good spot at Whitworth, do that now. And it's refundable until June 1st. Of course, we don't want you to take it away, but if you need to, that's okay. You have until June 1st for that. And once you do submit your deposit, you become a deposited student. And for about half of you on this webinar today, it sounds like you've already done that, and that's great. So we want to talk through what the steps are for you now that you have secured your spot and you're ready to be a pirate in the fall. It looks like some of you have some questions that are coming in, which is great, and Quincy is going to be answering those. She's answering them kind of on her end, and I'll just keep an eye out if there are any that we want to talk about overall during our chat, but for the most part, keep your eye on those questions. Quincy's answering some of those as we go. So let's talk about what it means once you're a deposited student. One of the most exciting things that once you put down your deposit is that you get to fill out your housing preference form. And this is also why, as soon as you know that you want to come to Whitworth, you should put down your deposit, because when we assign housing, we go in order of when we receive these forms. So if you really want to live in a certain residence hall and it's a popular residence hall, you want to get that form in soon so that you can make sure you get a spot in that hall. We do have 10 residence halls on campus. They are all awesome and wonderful. They have their own personalities, their own quirks, and you will love living there. But some students feel really drawn to one, and so they want to make sure that they get that housing option. So once you fill out your form, you'll have the chance to rank the different residence halls in order of which one you would love to live in. And then they'll also ask you some questions about how you would be as a roommate. Do you stay up late? Do you wake up early? All those things so that we can make a good match for you. So I would love to see if you could raise your hand if you have already filled out your housing preference form. You know where you want to live. You filled out that form. Awesome. You guys are already in line. Hopefully you're going to get your number one, your number two, whatever it is, and live in a great residence hall. So really encourage, once you deposit, be on the lookout for that email so that you can make sure that you are getting your residence hall form in. The next thing that's going to happen sort of in the late spring, early summer is that you are going to start registering for your classes. Now, as a current Whitworth student, you will register for classes by yourself online. You'll meet with your faculty advisor that semester and talk through your degree plan, talk about which classes you want to be taking, but then you'll get to kind of choose those classes yourself. You'll do it online in your residence hall or wherever, and you'll be independent in that way. But we know for your first semester that you don't necessarily know our system and you don't know which classes are what you might want. So we're going to help you with that. And we're going to have a faculty advisor call you over the phone, and they're going to have all your information in front of them, any college credits that you've already transferred, your major, all of those things. And they're going to talk to you about what classes you might want to take. If you are saying, I really don't want to take an 8 a.m. class, or I want to make sure that my classes are more on Tuesdays and Thursdays, things like that, that's stuff that you can communicate over the phone with them. And then on their side, they're going to register you for your classes and get you all set up. So that's a really easy way to just make sure you're getting everything that you need for that first semester of your freshman year. And we will send out some emails to students, to deposited students, with the times for those registration appointments that are available. And you'll just sign up for one. And when your time comes, the professor will call you and you'll talk through all of those things. We send out those times once again in order of when students have deposited. So that's another great reason to secure your spot as soon as you're ready to make sure that you get a good appointment time and you get into all the best classes that you're looking for. Next, we are going to want you to send us your final high school transcript. And this is really just to see that you have graduated from high school. You may have talked to your admissions counselor about this before, but Whitworth only requires that you do whatever it takes to graduate from your high school. So sometimes I get questions from students saying, I'm not going to take a fourth year of a foreign language. My high school doesn't require it, but I wasn't sure if you guys did. And we really only require what your high school requires to graduate. I've also been getting that question a lot recently, saying that this class is going to be online or this class is being waived because we're taking all of these classes away from our campus. How does that look at Whitworth? Once again, as long as your high school says that you have graduated, you're okay with Whitworth, so don't worry about that. And ultimately, we're just going to need that final transcript to show that you have graduated. I've also been getting questions from families saying that those transcripts might be a little bit delayed because of everything that's going on. That's okay. We just need to know that you have graduated by the time you start school in the fall. So don't necessarily delay once you have it, but once it's available, send it our way so that we can see that you're ready to go at Whitworth. Also, if you are currently a college student or if you are transferring college credit because you did dual enrollment or college in the high school or running start or anything like that, if you're doing any of those things and you have college credit that you're wanting us to count at Whitworth or consider at Whitworth, you need to send us those final transcripts. If possible, it would be great to send those to us before you do your registration appointment so that we can have all that transferred by the time you're talking to your professor. But if not, just make sure you send it to us as soon as you can. And if you happen to be on a registration appointment and they didn't have that information already, you could just tell them, hey, you don't have it, but I did take college in the high school English, so I probably shouldn't sign up for an English class this semester. And you can talk through that with them. And finally, we're also going to ask you for some health forms. As you're moving onto campus, we want to make sure everyone has some different health information on file. So you'll be getting those. It's an online portal that you and your family can be looking at. But that's a good thing to start thinking about if you're going to be having a doctor's appointment or a physical anytime soon, to be looking through what it is that you might need for Whitworth for your health forms. Okay, I'm just going to take a peek here and look at some of these questions to see if we want to answer them all together. So this says, due to the current closure of my school for the rest of the 2019-2020 school year, how can I send in my final high school transcript? Definitely. That will be tricky. And as I was saying, we are not expecting it right away the day that you graduate. You have some time to figure it out. We usually have those final transcripts either sent by mail, if your school is able to do that, or through a transcript delivery service like Parchment or something like that. So we can talk with your school if they're having a lot of trouble figuring out how to get your transcript sent to us. But my hope would be that by the summer, schools will be able to send those either by mail or through one of those official transcript delivery services. Okay, and then when will we receive our school email is what someone is saying. Your email will be assigned to you once you've deposited, but you'll get access to it in the summer. And I'm so proud of you for already thinking about your school email, because that is how your professors are going to communicate with you. That is how a few kind of entities on campus are going to communicate with you over the summer. So it's a great idea to start thinking about checking that. On your application status page, which is listed here, whitworth.edu/app status, there will be a link to your email, how to sign into that. And that will usually pop up kind of in the late spring, early summer, once we know who our class is and who everybody, make sure everyone has their emails. Okay, someone is asking here, what % of Whitworth students live on campus? That's a great question. I don't think I could give you a specific percentage, but I can tell you that almost every single first and second year student is living on campus because we require it. For students who live in the immediate area and have immediate family that they could live with, they can potentially live with those family members, but we really encourage you to live on campus your first and second year, because there's some great research that shows that you will transition a lot better into college life when you're on campus. So in your persistence toward your degree, in your social life, and all of those things, we really encourage that for our students to live on campus those first 2 years. So not an exact percentage, at least 50% is what I would say, but definitely juniors and seniors will also live on campus in the residence halls as resident assistants, in our theme houses, lots of different opportunities if you want to stay on campus. Okay, gonna move on a little bit, still some more questions, but I'll answer a few of those in a little bit. Get to the next part here. Okay, so we've already talked about a lot of these things in those previous slides, but I want to talk about them on sort of a time so that you can really picture what it is that you have coming up this summer, and what it is that we can help you with so that we can help prepare you for these different steps. As we mentioned, our deposit deadline has been extended to June 1st, so you have until then to submit that deposit and make your decision. Late May, early June, kind of late spring, early summer, we will be sending out those class registration appointment invitations, and you will also be conducting those registration appointments over the phone. So get ready for that, get excited for that, and be on the lookout if you have submitted your deposit. Very exciting, June and July, this is what everybody's always looking for, is that your housing assignment will be sent to you. And not just your housing assignment, but also your roommate assignment. And I have gotten some questions already from students who are asking, I really want to live with my friend in the residence hall. How do I make that happen? For those of you who filled out the housing form, you probably saw that there's a place where you can put the name of someone that you'd like to live with in the residence hall. And when we see that, we'll try to match you in the same room. If you have someone that you know you want to live with, make sure they put your name too. We need them to match. So communicate with them beforehand and say, okay, we're putting all of the same information on our form, and we want to make sure we both put each other's names so that we can match them together. And if you have any questions about that, just let us know. In July, you're going to receive your billing form. And for some of you who've done financial aid calls, you might have already talked about this with your admissions counselor, but we will send you a billing form. It's not your bill, but it will look very similar to the bill, and it will show you what your remaining balance is owed, and we'll ask you how you plan to cover that. This is hopefully a helpful resource for you to be able to get all your ducks in a row before the actual bill comes. And this will essentially just outline the tuition and fees and charges and all of those things, subtract the scholarships and grants that you have, and then ask you how you plan to cover the remainder. If you have some outside scholarships, which I really encourage you to be looking for, if you have any of those, you can declare those on your form to take away some of the money. So your balance is at X amount and you have $1,000 scholarship, it'll subtract that so that you're looking at the true total balance. It's also where we want you to tell us if you are planning to take out your student loans, and we'll make sure that you know the different steps to take out those student loans. If you're going to take out a parent loan, or if you're going to put your balance on a payment plan, which is a great resource for you. If you want to spread the balance out over the semester, you can set up your payment plan on that billing form. So that will be coming in July, and we want you to be on the lookout for that and look through it with your parents and your family to make sure everything looks good to you. Talk with us if you have any concerns before the actual bill comes. And hopefully this will just make it a little bit of an easier process once that part comes. Okay, for transfer students, your deposit deadline is August 1st, so you get a little bit more time. And if you have any questions in the meantime during all of that, you can just let us know. And all those things that were happening previously, For transfer students who had already deposited, we'll just catch you up once you deposit if you're waiting until August 1st. But as you can see, some things are happening during the summer. So as soon as you're ready and as soon as you've secured your spot, or as soon as you're ready, secure your spot so that you can catch up on those different steps throughout the summer. And then finally, our move-in day is on September 5th, and you'll be receiving some information about the new student orientation in the month of August. But that orientation takes place the same weekend as move-in weekend. So you don't need to come to campus separately for an orientation or be split up from the rest of the new students in a couple different orientations. Everyone's going to be on campus at the same time, moving in and getting to know campus together. This is very often rated as a top event of the year for our new students. It's a really great time to get acclimated to campus and meet new people and figure out where your classes are and hang out with your parents and show them their space and just get comfortable before our classes begin on September 9th. Okay, back to the questions here. Okay, someone says the call to figure out classes is in the spring or the summer, and they filled out a form to say that they'll send in their running start credits. That's awesome. Love to see that your transcripts will come as soon as you graduate. The registration call for your classes is usually going to be, as it says here, late May, early June. It just depends on when you sign up. It'll go for a couple weeks that these appointments will be available. So you'll have some options, but it will be kind of late spring, early June. Hopefully that answers your question. Okay. Oh, someone says, what is a roommate assignment? Great answer, or great question. So most of our residence hall rooms are double capacity, which means it's going to be 2 people per room. We have a couple singles and a couple triples, but the majority are double occupancy. And so you are going to have a roommate, which is super fun. It's a great way to kind of have a buddy and a partner as you're both learning about Whitworth. It's also a good time to, practice good communication and make sure that you're saying what your needs are and being flexible with other people's needs. But we hand match our roommates, so we're really paying attention to who you are and what you might have in common and ways that you'll live well together. That's why we ask those questions on the housing preference form to make sure we're putting people together who are going to be a good match. Okay. Here's a good one. What advice would you give to a high school senior who's trying to decide on which college to attend in the midst of all of this craziness that is happening? Yes, well, first of all, I just want to say I feel for you, and I know how difficult this must be to have your senior year shifted and be a little different than what you were expecting. And I'm sorry for you, and I'm sorry to hear that, and I hope that we're able to make up for it with a great experience in college. But I know that this is a difficult time to be making decisions. My advice would be to do exactly what you're doing, which is to still be learning and engaging with the different schools that you're looking at, especially Whitworth, of course, because I'm biased, but make sure that you're still seeking that information. A lot of schools are putting that information out for you to still get to know them and figure out what is going to be a great fit for you. For Whitworth, we obviously have put together a presentation like this, but also a financial aid presentation, a Q&A with current students, kind of a panel where you can really get to know current students and hear about their experiences. We have residence hall tours. We'll have Q&A and conversations with faculty members in different areas of campus. So really just making sure you're still getting all the information that you are looking for, getting your questions answered. And on kind of a personal note, I would take this time to reflect on what it is that you are really looking for. You're not going to have all of the peer pressure and the peer opinions surrounding you that I know can sometimes happen when you're on your high school campus, hearing where everyone else is going and all the different things that are going to be happening. It's going to be a little quieter, and it's going to be a chance for you to really think on your own what it is that you're looking for and how you want your college experience to go. So I encourage you to see some positive in that, maybe in a way, and know that this is a chance for you to really understand what it is that you want for your next 4 years. Okay. Great. Let's keep going here. We are very excited to still be able to offer the Visit Scholarship to students. If you weren't aware, we offer a one-time $1,000 Visit Scholarship for freshmen, incoming freshmen, and transfer students for the fall of 2020 who came to visit campus, but now who attend 2 of our webinars. So you still have the chance to get a $1,000 scholarship just by hanging out with us on these webinars. So you've already done one, which is great. And we hope you're excited to do one more. Obviously, don't do this one again because you've already gotten that information. But any of those ones that I was talking about before, that would be a great chance for you to get to know another area of campus. If you already visited campus and you qualified for the Visit Scholarship, you can't get a second one, but we still really encourage you to look at these webinars and interact with them if you have questions or you just want to get to know another area of campus better. So congratulations to all of you who are halfway there to your Visit Scholarship, and we hope that you find a second great webinar to finish out those requirements. Okay. Oh, great. I see another question here, so I'm going to pause for it. How is the accessibility to recreational places such as the gym, the library, etc., all of that? Great. Campus is super accessible. I'm not sure if you mean like accessible physical accessibility. In that case, it's great. We are doing a great job of updating all of our facilities to make them super accessible to everyone. But also, if you're just thinking about proximity and is it easy for me to roll out of bed and go to class or roll out of bed and go to the library? Definitely. Whitworth's campus is 200 acres, which seems big, although I don't really know how to think about 200 acres. But it is a relatively big campus, but still it would take you less than 10 minutes to walk from one side of campus to the other. The general layout of Whitworth is that on one side of campus are most of our residence halls. The middle of campus is most of our academic buildings. And then the other side of campus is most of our athletic facilities. So that's the very simple way of explaining how it's laid out. But overall, everything is very easy to get to, and hopefully you'll meet some friendly students. I know you'll meet some students in your first week on campus who can point you in the right direction if you're not totally sure where to go. Okay, awesome. Someone asked, what is the social scene like at Whitworth? Very social. And our students are loving getting to know each other. We have a really diverse student body. They are coming from all over the country, all over the world. They have lots of different perspectives and backgrounds. So we really encourage our students to be social and to get to know each other because that's a great way just to build relationships and build community. That is always, always, always the word that our alumni are saying is how they would describe Whitworth is community. And so that social scene definitely comes from that community feeling. It comes from the events that our clubs put on, that different academic departments put on, that lots of different people put on. There's always an event happening on campus. It comes from activities like our intramurals, everything from bubble soccer to volleyball to badminton, all these different activities that students can do. Comes from watching our varsity level sports teams. So our 21 varsity athletic teams compete. They're awesome. We have won the Northwest Conference All Sports Trophy 12 years in a row. And they're just so good. So it's really fun to get to watch them in lots of different seasons. Lots of different things that our students are doing to engage with each other, especially in the residence halls. The residence halls put on different community events. Most nights of the week, they have big events throughout the year where you can mix with different residence halls and get to know people who are living somewhere else. And just lots of ways that you're going to get to meet with a lot of people and make a lot of good friends. Okay. So, also, this is a good add-on to that. Someone says, do we have Greek life? We do not have Greek life because we're a pretty small campus. And because of all those things that I just listed, we really don't think it's necessary for us on campus because you're going to be busy even without Greek life, and you're going to get to know plenty of people without Greek life. Okay. Can you do sports your first year, like cheer? Yes, most of our varsity level sports recruit our students throughout the year, but cheer is technically a club on campus, so you can definitely still participate in that. And if you're wanting to be considered for any sport right now, I encourage you to go to our athletics website, which is whitworthpirates.com. At the top, there's a tab that says recruits, and you can fill out a form about yourself, some contact information, stats, things like that, and that will go straight to our coaches so they can reach out to you if they're interested in having you on the team. Okay. Oh, what would be considered the freshman only dorm is someone is saying. So a lot of our residence halls are multi-year, so freshmen, sophomores, etc. But Baldwin Jenkins is a freshman only, first year only residence hall. So if that's something that you're looking for, that's a good option there. Okay, I'm gonna move on just because we're kind of going over on time, which is totally fine, but I wanna be respectful of your time. All these questions that you've asked, if we're not answering them live on the webinar, we'll be sure to answer them behind the scenes or send you an email with answers to the questions, just so we have enough time to get everyone's questions in. Here are our upcoming webinars, just so you can know what's coming up if you want to join any of these three, but there are also plenty of others to be looking at, so I encourage you to go to our website, whitworth.edu/visit, and check out all the different offerings that we have for our different webinars. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me today and hear me talk to you today. I do wish we could all be on campus, but I'm glad we're able to connect in this way instead. If you have any other questions other than the ones that we're asking here, we'll be sure to get you answers to those. If you have any other questions, please let your admissions counselor know, especially if you're one of my students, definitely let me know. But any of our admissions counselors can help you. The easiest way to reach us is just to find the most recent email or text that we've sent you and reply to it with your question. It'll go straight to your admissions counselor. Or you can always just reach out to one of us independently. So please let us know what those questions are. We will continue to answer some of these questions behind the scenes, but otherwise I just want to say thank you to all of you, and it's great being here with you. Quincy, I'm not sure if you have anything that you want to say to wrap up.
I do not. Just again, thank you everybody for attending. Please feel free to ask any questions throughout the upcoming weeks, as Tess mentioned. And we're really thankful that you're here.
Awesome.